Welcome to our city council meeting. Sorry to be a little slow today. We got a lot going on. I'll say right off, we wish to excuse council member Betty Ariel. She's ill today, so we extend our best wishes to her. Hope she gets feeling better. Let's begin. We have with us Reverend Alex Wilkie, and we'll begin with an invocation from him. Appreciate him being here, as he has been for, I can say, decades, because he's been ministering to people here in St. George for decades, and he's part of the St. George Interfaith Council. We appreciate him being here today. Reverend.
Might I say that hadn't it been for my day planner, I would have blown this meeting. I was filling it out for the day's activities that I've done, and at 4:30 I looked at City Council at 5 o'clock. So I quit what I was writing in my day planner and came, so let us pray.
Thank you.
Our Heavenly Father, amid all of the changes and things that we find happening in this great city, all of the things that are on the agenda, we pray that your guidance will direct the purposes for which we're going. We ask that you would bless every member of the City Council and its mayor. Bless each member present in this community and in this room. Give us guidance this day, we pray, in the holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Wilkie. Now we would like to have I'm going to see if I can say this right, our youth mayor-elect, because she's not quite, her term hasn't started yet, but Tayden Hansen, we'd like you to come forward with actually all of our scouts in the room, okay? All you scouts, in uniform or not, come with Mayor Hansen, and she is going to ask and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. But I want all the scouts to come up too. You'll look better because of Mayor Hansen being with you, okay? Look at this, Tayden. We've got all kinds of scouts here today. So come line up right by Mayor Hansen. There you go. And she will tell us what we need to do.
Please arise and repeat after me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, gentlemen, hang on. Mayor can sit down. Gentlemen have to stay here for a minute. Can't get away that fast. So, let's see. What are you all here for? What merit badge are you working on? Yeah? Yeah?
Citizenship in the community.
Citizenship in the community for all of you that can't hear. Yes? Same thing? Yeah? Communications, okay. Communications. Mr. Vaughn, citizenship in the community, okay. So let's have you turn around the other way so they can see your awesome faces. And now, let's see how well you know the Scout law. That's the one that starts a Scout is. Remember that? Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Scout is
Trustworthy.
loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
And you left one out. Hungry. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. We're glad you're here. Stay as long as you want. Stay as long as you want. You can leave when you need to, but, I know you got to be here a little while to, to get that merit badge. Okay, we've got a couple things we'd like to do before we actually start our formal agenda today. First of all, I'd like to have, if you would, Michelle, would you read this proclamation? Would you do it? We have a proclamation regarding Arbor Day, and Council Member Randall serves on the Shade Tree Board, and so I'd like to have her read this. You don't have to read all this stuff.
Thank you. Whereas in 1872, Sterling J. Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees,
And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas the City of St. George recognizes the contributions a healthy community forest has to clean the air and water, reduce stormwater runoff, enhance energy conservation, improve public health and safety, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas the City of St. George has now been recognized as a Tree City USA for the past 24 consecutive years by the National Day Arbor Foundation. And whereas the City of St. George is committed to planting at least 500 new trees each year to renew its urban forest, now therefore Mayor, this guy, Jonathan T. Pike,
Not that one, this one.
do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2017 as Arbor Day.
Awesome.
And that is from 9 to 11 out at the Tonnequin Nature Center. So everyone is invited. And how many trees are planted, Shane? 200. 200 trees will be planted. And it's awesome out there if you haven't been out by the Nature Center. It's by Tonnequin Park, all of that. Come and join us Saturday, 29th. That's right. Then go to Thunder Junction. And there will be food.
It's always
So
food.
if that, entices you.
And and that was not a typo. She said it correctly. 500 trees we'll plant at least this year. Not just that day, a couple hundred that day, but that's part of our commitment to our urban forest and as a Tree City USA member. And so we've been a member for how many years, Shane? 24 years. So we're proud. We believe that is good for us. It has a cooling effect, and we try to plant trees that are conducive to our environment. Shane assures us, and that's what we keep trying to do, things that work the best for our situation. I also might mention that Dawn from our Leisure Services Department just gave me this, which is the Summer Fun Guide, youth programs for this summer. And there is something for everybody, isn't there, in there, Dawn? So that will be coming out. These are brand new. So I'll give mine to Michelle to look at because she's got grandkids.
Living with me right now.
Yep. So
I need something for them to do this summer.
and Gary might too. We'll see. I don't know. But grandkids and kids, youth of really all ages, there are opportunities. So lots of good things going on this summer. Okay, so now I'd like to have the Miss St. George royalty come forward. You can tell who they are, right? If they would come forward, we want to have them introduce themselves. They're also brand new. We've got new youth council member we'll hear from in a moment, but let's hear from the royalty first.
So I'm Caitlin Larson, and go to Desert Hills, and I'm the 2017-2018 Miss St. George. And we would really like to pursue my platform of the importance of education. So my royalty and I will be going around to the schools in the district and doing a book drive to gain books for Title I schools. And this is my royalty, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Thank you, Caitlin.
I'm Kylie Hartshorn, and I'm first attendant, and I also go to Desert Hills.
I'm Jana Osler, and I'm a junior at Snow Canyon High School, and I'm the second attendant.
I'm McKenna Field, and I go to Tuacahn High School, and I miss Congeniality.
Tell us your name again.
McKenna Field.
So we got a pretty good representation, don't we? We're missing Dixie, but we've got Desert Hills times 2 and Snow Canyon and Tuacahn. So I know, and I'm sorry that Councilwoman Ariel isn't here, because as you know, she was one of the judges at the event this year, and I only got in on the last part, but wow, we have some incredibly talented young women in our city, council members. It was really incredible. I don't know how they chose, but they certainly chose well, from what I could tell. So we're thrilled to have you. You'll be alongside us at a number of events. They'll be at George Fest here in a couple weeks. And what else did you tell me you were doing soon?
You can come to Arbor Day and plant trees.
Iron Man, they'll be helping us. You can come to Arbor Day if you want. I wouldn't suggest wearing what you're wearing today, but
You could wear the crown.
Crowns, yeah. get a little dirty. Anyway, we'll see you at things like parades and of course, yeah, elbow, wrist. And
You know that.
hey, I've been in a few parades. And my wife was a junior miss when we lived in Salt Lake. So anyway, what else?
Good
Oh,
representation for the Greystone neighborhood.
Is that
Caitlin
right?
is my neighbor, just around the corner.
Caitlin, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We know it is.
Yeah.
That's a great neighborhood and great schools, all of you. We're glad you're doing so many wonderful things. We'll look forward to seeing you clear back in January for root beer floats. I'm sure they told you about that. That's fun, and we can use your help. So, any questions, council, or comments for these beautiful young women?
Yep. It's awesome.
Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon. Congratulations. Okay, and now the Youth City Council. Like to hear from you. And again, a number of new members, including our new mayor. Thanks, ladies. They have a presentation, so we'll see if it... There we go.
Again. Okay. Thank you for inviting the St. George Youth City Council to present our Make-A-Wish Foundation event we have been planning. So we have been cooperating with the Jared Perry from Make-A-Wish. He is in charge of the St. George, Utah area. And they have actually appeared to one of our meetings and has been very supportive and willing to help us in this event. Okay, so what is right here is our flyer for the youth for high schoolers. We've got 4 high schoolers competing in this. We've got Dixie, Desert Hills, Snow Canyon, and Pineview. And at the door, it's $20 to pay, and that all that money goes towards making a child's wish come true in the St. George area, as well as the teens who put in the money. It gives them unlimited everything and a game of bowling, and it's a competition between all the schools. Okay, so this right here is our sponsor flyer, and we've got 3 levels of sponsors. We've got the gold, silver, and the bronze, and all of the sponsorships are going to be going on the back of our t-shirts that we are going to be wearing at the event. Yeah. Okay, so here's our sponsors that have donated so far. We have Camping World, Fusion, and Power Up Image, and we even we have been getting a lot more, especially like Lynn's Chipotle, and we have been working on getting up to the 5,000. Okay, so this right here is our flyer for all the people in our community, and anyone is willing to donate. Even just a little bit of money can help make one of these children's wish come true. And right there you can see that is the link for going in to donate. And here's our fundraising page.
So anyone can donate to this page any amount that they want, and it goes directly to Make-A-Wish, and that way it gets credited to the efforts of the St. George Youth City Council. So we're really very proud of them. We have actually so far gotten over $1,000 because Camping World sent us a check, so it did not reflect in this, and they sent it directly to Make-A-Wish. We have flyers here that you will be able to, we put flyers on the tables on both sides so that you can get to that link. It actually was a very long link that we shortened a bit, but it's still not that easy. So.
That must be it.
Yeah, so as she says, there are flyers back at the tables, and anyone is willing to donate in the community because every little thing helps us. Thank you for allowing us to present today. We really appreciate it.
You are sure welcome. Now, will you introduce the rest of the council,
Yeah.
Mayor?
Okay, so
And have them come up. tell us if you're, why don't you each introduce yourselves? How's that? And tell us what school you go to and if you're new to the council. Are you all new? No, you're not, are you? Okay.
Okay, so I'll start. I'm Tayden Hansen. I'm the upcoming mayor, and I am going to be a senior. And
At which school?
I go to Dixie High.
Okay.
I'm Kelsey Holt. I'm currently a senior at Desert Hills, and this is my last year on the council.
Kelsey, thank you.
I'm Grant Polson. I'm from Pineview. I'm going to be a senior, and I'm new.
I'm Weston Segmiller. I go to Dixie High School, and I'm new too.
I'm Abby Benyon. I go to Pineview High. I'll be a senior, and I've been with the council a couple of years.
And you're still here. You still like it. Excellent.
I'm Michaela Page, and I'm new. I go to Dixie, and I'll be a junior.
I'm Annie Smith. I'm a freshman at Desert Hills, and I'm new here.
I'm Morgan Wood. I go to Snow Canyon High School. I'm a senior, and I've been on the council for 2 years.
Awesome. That is great. Well, thank you so much. Well, I promised you I would contribute, so Mayor, come over and I'll give you a contribution to go towards that, okay? So anything else you have for us? He'll match it. He's going to do it right now, $100. Yeah, you're going to put your money where you she'll tell you what to do with it. Thanks. Appreciate it. You guys, that's a great draw, kid. Thank you.
Oh, he has it. The city manager has it.
He carries bigger bills than I do, though. Well, thank you very much. That's a great service project. Gary, I think we might be ready to go to the agenda.
Well, let's go ahead and take care of the bid openings at least.
Okay.
We'll get to public hearings if we could. Item 2A is award a bid for purchase of an easement machine. I've never heard that quite described like that, but Scott's here somewhere. But it is in the current budget. We're purchasing this off the National Joint Powers Alliance. This is a nationwide purchasing program that's put together that allows cities to use their buying power to pick those equipments. And so the original budget was 55. There was a little bit more than what we had budgeted, but there's some savings already on the piece of equipment we've already purchased. So we have enough in the budget to purchase that.
Any questions on this, council?
I need to maybe excuse Brett. He's playing in the golf tournament. Why he's playing and I'm not, I don't know, but he's asked to be excused today. Yeah, he is.
I will make a motion to approve the purchase of the new easement machine from Dawson Infrastructure Solutions in the amount of $58,112.45.
Second. Motion by Michelle with a second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The next item is the recommendation to approve a purchase of a Pro QA medical software program for the police dispatch. I know Cindy's here to answer any technical questions you may have, but as I understand it, this is a program that allows them to be able to have better access quicker to the cards or the help, the information they need to determine how to respond or who to send on what type of an emergency. We have monies that in the current budget because of extra monies we haven't spent in hiring folks and keeping them on for the whole year. So there is it wasn't budgeted this year, but there is sufficient funds to allocate to this program. So maybe Cindy, I don't know if you want to add something to that or.
Any questions, council? Okay.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the purchase of the software from Priority Dispatch for the new EMD cards in the amount of $91,305.
Second.
Got a motion by Michelle with a second by Ed. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. The next item is purchase of poles for our power department, red cedar, western red cedar poles to Annixter. We had 3 bids. The recommendation is to award that bid at $55,759. It's part of the current budget for inventory.
Questions on this one, council?
We've just gone through quite a few
Well,
power poles,
yeah,
haven't
we
we?
might need some after the last windstorm.
The last couple
of
things in the
windstorms.
last year.
That's kind of interesting. There's actually 3 different places that provide those poles.
Yeah.
So if there's no questions, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the bid award to Western Red Cedar Annixter for the red cedar poles for $55,759.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy with a second by Michelle. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, the next item, if we could do it, Mayor, is would be a part of the addendum. There's 2 addendum items that are bid related. The first is the award of bid for a water line. It's up on Red Hills Parkway. You might recall that over the years we've had a couple of issues with regard to the line that used to come straight off the face of the Red Hill down by some mobile home park where we had some issues with the line. So I think Scott and his folks are recommending that we put that line in a street, which would make it more accessible and be able to upgrade that line. We've gone to bid on that. We received 3 bids. The first bid, which was a low bid, asked to withdraw their bid because they felt like there was an error in their bid, and so that bid has been withdrawn. The second low bid was from Terry Brotherson. I guess we had more than 3. Looks like we had 4. But no, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. The next low bid was from Terry Brotherson. And then the third bid was from Gilbert Development. Now, and those 2 bids are within 5% of each other. Under the purchasing ordinance, if the second bid is a local company, city company, then they have the right to match, not to be awarded at their purchase price, but to match the low bid. And we had nobody from St. George that submitted a bid, but the ordinance then says if the company is from Washington County, they may be given preference to match that bid. In the past, we've always allowed those companies that were in Washington County, if there wasn't a city bid, to match the low bid because if they're within 5% of that. And Gilbert Development has submitted a letter indicating that they are willing to match the low bid and utilize that local preference portion of our purchasing ordinance.
So then it is going to Gilbert, not...
That's correct. That thing on your desk is
right.
not correct. It's
Now,
for the same amount, $527,732.18, but it would be to Gilbert Development rather than Brotherson.
And I'm sorry, Gary, did you say, do we have the option?
Yeah.
So, council, I would think we would want to award this to a Washington County contractor. We don't have to, but I would think we would want to. We know them.
I think the ordinance says you shall if it's a city, but you may if it's a county. And so that's how we've interpreted it in the past.
Any questions? I'm ready for a motion if you're so inclined.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then, Mayor, that we award the bid for the water line to Gilbert Development for $527,732.18.
Second.
We have a motion by Jimmy and a second by Michelle. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. It's good they got that 18 cents on there.
Okay, the next item is a professional services contract. I guess that's 6G. We can wait on that one if you like. Looks like we can go into public hearings if you like then.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead. 3A.
Item 3A, public hearing to consider a zone change amendment to the plan development commercial zone that's located at approximately 800 west, 1600 south to develop a business park and to also add the use of cabinet shop. So this shows an aerial view. The yellow line is the city limits, and city cemetery is right here, and we'll be looking at the property right in here. The zoning is PDC, the general plan's commercial. You'll be looking at the layout and also elevations. This shows the elevations of the building that's proposed. You can see the colors and the articulation of it. And also on the easel over here to my right is materials for this project. It's in your packet, but the actual materials are there. Shows a rendering of the building that's proposed, a couple different views. And here's the site plan and landscaping. The building would be right here. This would all be paved and landscaped to meet the requirements. And then in the future, there would be a pad that would be developed, and they would come back to see you at that time. And this shows where, again, the Santa Clara River is. The cemetery is just here where I'm showing with arrow. Staff has looked at the parking and landscaping, and everything meets the codes, setbacks. And again, the materials board. Planning Commission does recommend approval of this project. And on page 2, briefly stated, their comments are they recommend that the amendment be allowed to allow this layout in the buildings and the colors. 2, that the use cabinet shop be added. And they found that it was in harmony with previously approved lists, which is in your packet. You've probably seen that. Site plan, you'd be looking at the layout. Again, the colors and materials. Setbacks meet code, parking meets code, landscaping meets code. Lighting, we'll look at a photometric plan when they bring that in, and then they'll go through the civil plan review. And that basically is it. Concludes staff's comments. The applicant is here in the audience also.
Any questions for Ray?
I have a question. Leave that picture right there. That parking that's right where your arrow is, no, down below, is that part of the project? Or is that parking for the cemetery? That's ours.
We would like him to put that in as part of your zone change.
So leave it in the picture.
Unfortunately, I think that's part of our purchase that we had from Traveler. If you see that 1 point, I can't read it, whatever that acreage is there, down, Ray, down right there.
1.84.
That's the property we purchased from Mr. Traveler to add to the cemetery. So we'll work with, if you approve the zone change, then we will work with Mr. Peterson to try to share in some of the cost of putting that roadway in. We'll push him as far as we can exact something from him, but then we'll have to probably put that parking lot in ourselves. Serves as a part of the trailhead. The trail is right adjacent to that, yeah. And then we have to be within 150 feet carry, I think, on the for the cemetery. So that'll serve some of the area we just purchased, that roadway there. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Ray, could you clarify for us the total acreage involved in the total project and give us an idea of total acreage just for the cabinet shop?
Well, the total acreage is mentioned in the staff report, and let's see, sorry. 6.71 acres, and 3.4 acres is for the proposed facility.
Just for the cabinet shop. Thank you.
Ray, just for clarification, because if you look at the picture, it looks really close to the river. The dotted line, is that where the flood plain? Floodway. Boundary is? Is that what the dotted line is?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Is there protection there?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ray before we?
If it takes this building out, it takes the cemetery out.
Yeah.
Too, so
we're not looking forward to that day.
I will make a motion if you're ready.
We got to.
Oh, it's public hearing.
Yeah. So first of all, would the applicant like to say anything?
I think just one comment, Mayor. It's interesting in this particular project that we struggled. We've met with Mr. Peterson a few times trying to figure out where to place this type of a facility, because it's kind of a quasi manufacturing or building, and it's also a showroom, and it's a commercial. And so we really don't have a zone that fits this. And so that's why when he came in with this site, it made sense where it was a PD commercial zone, that you could then go through that process and look at the site, look at the building, and determine if that use was compatible in that particular zone. And we all felt that this was a great location for that type of use. It's all enclosed, so it's not going to create any issues there. And so it's probably a pretty good use for that particular property. And then we have a chance to have this type of use in our zoning. So.
And we're happy to have the opportunity to keep his business in St. George. So
Yeah,
it's a
Mayor,
good business and a growing business. So
Yeah, I was just going to ask that perhaps Chris would make a comment as far as being able to keep the business here in St. George and not move to Colorado. And so we appreciate that, but you might want to share with us that you've made an effort and you're concerned about that and your employees and staying here locally. That's great. Yeah, would you please just let us know what you're doing, Chris, to keep jobs here in St. George? That's greatly appreciated.
Well, the hard part's finding people to fill those jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So my name's Chris Peterson, and I represent Riverwoods Mill. And I really do appreciate the city's been great, planning staff, in helping me find this, get this spot to look like it'll work. And we did get to the point where we were a little frustrated trying to find a good home, and we did start looking at a few places in Colorado. We do a lot of work there, as well as Nevada, and we started exploring other options, because this type of specific use in a zone isn't really addressed in our ordinances. And we found lots of other places where it was, with ground that just seemed to fit better. But we were really thankful to find this spot through K-Traveler, and you guys have been supportive. And so hopefully we get what we need today, and we're on our way. And it'll be our only facility where we do build our products, and we ship all over from here. We have a lot, even out of the country. So we like St. George, and we want to stay here.
Yeah, thank you.
So.
Thank you.
thank you very much, Chris. We're really happy for your success and glad to have you here. Okay, so I will open the public hearing at this time for any who may have come to provide any input or ask any questions on this item 3A on our agenda. Nothing. Okay.
See, I just knew there would be no.
See, that's right. So I'll close the public hearing and come back to you now, Michelle, if you're so inclined.
I will make a motion to amend the zone from to the PDC zone to include the business park and add the cabinet shop to the use list, along with the recommendations from the Planning Commission. Anything else in there, Sean, that I missed? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Michelle and a second by Ed. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, starting with Ed, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
We'd like to add contingent on him putting the entire road in if you wanted to change that.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, we forgot that
Saved
one.
by the bell, man.
Dang it. Especially with that guy sitting next to you, we should make you. Yeah.
You got to be careful the company you keep,
Yeah.
Chris.
Next time, have him sit a few chairs away from you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda, 3B, public hearing to consider zone change amendments from RE 12.5 to A1 on 0.64 acres located approximately 2252 east, 2800 south. So this is the property the applicant's requesting the zone change for. The general plan shows low density residential. Here's the zoning. Right now the property owner, the applicant, owns both these pieces of property, this one and this one, and he would like to combine the property, but when he combines the property he ends up with split zoning. And so what he's requesting is this front piece of property be zoned A1, which is the same as the rear, in order to avoid split zoning.
Now, so say that one more time. We're going from residential to
agriculture.
Aye.
You got to make a motion first. A little later. A little later, yeah.
Planning Commission reviewed it, took public comment. His original request was RE 12.5 because that's what he had. However, he modified his request and went to A1, and Planning Commission reviewed it and recommended approval. That concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions for John? I don't think Jimmy has any. All right, then we'll open the public hearing at this time for any who may have come to offer input on this item, 3B. If you just state your name for the record as you approach.
I'm Jeannie Black, and I live just 3 lots down. I am on an ag lot, and there are just a few other ag lots along that side of the street. And so we came into the Planning and Zoning Commission, and Mr. Wheeler was willing to change it from the residential to the ag, just to keep a few more ag pieces. I want to thank Mr. Bocut and the Planning and Zoning Commission for considering that, because in that area we are considered a right to farm area.
That's right.
And we just wanted to keep a little bit more ag, and Mr. Wheeler, of course he doesn't have animals, but he was willing to do that for us, just to keep a few more green spaces available in that section. And the front piece, it slopes drastically to the street. So really, it may look like it's bigger than it actually is, but it's not. The ag piece is actually the big piece, and that's why he was willing to go to the ag, just to kind of help us out on the street and keep green space. So
That's
thank
great,
you.
and nice of you to come make the comment. Thank you.
Well, the Planning and Zoning Commission actually, you know, along with Mr. Wheeler, they could see that the piece was bigger, and we had some concerns about losing some of our ag, and they were willing to, and Mr. Wheeler was willing to make that change, and we're glad to have him in the neighborhood if, you know, that
It's
he's
approved.
willing to
Yeah.
help us keep our ag there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is that right, Jimmy? They want to keep horses and cows down there still?
Right.
Hasn't changed.
A few crazy people still.
Any other comments? Okay, and I'll close the public hearing. Does the applicant have anything they'd like to say?
There's all kinds of shady people here tonight.
Yeah, there are, aren't there? Mayor and council, Mr. Esplin, boss, Mr. Guzman. Haven't seen you for a while, but my name is Roger Bundy. I'm representing Mr. Wheeler. He couldn't be here tonight. He had his daughter was graduating or had some event up north. So, but he was more than willing to go along with the suggestion of the Planning Commission as requested, and is happy to go with the A1. So, and now one thing that I might mention along with this, what originally facilitated this was an adjustment of the lot line of the subdivision lot, and that will be coming later, providing this gets approved. If that will be coming as an item for you later on. So, thank
Very
you.
good.
Appreciate your time and help on it.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, council, any questions or discussion? Otherwise, I'm ready for a motion.
Go ahead, Mr. Hughes.
Oh, well, then I'll go ahead and make a motion. Put me on the spot. Let's, to approve the zone change from RE 12.5 to A1 on approximately 0.64 acres located at 2252 East, 2800 South.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy with the second by Ed. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, starting with Joe this time, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Good. It's a good project. He's got to step out for just a minute, so he'll be back.
Next item, 3C, public hearing to consider a zone change from PDR in R18 to C2 on 0.40 acres located approximately 150 west, 700 south. So these are the two properties the applicant's requesting. Bluff Street, 700 south, 100 west. The applicant owns these other properties also. Close up of the two properties. This is the general plan. The general plan has commercial surrounding it. Staff felt comfortable flexing the general plan to encompass these two areas. Zoning, there's two zoning. There's a PDR and R18. And the applicant, as I mentioned, is requesting the C2 to extend on these two properties. This is the exhibit that was provided by the applicant. And that concludes staff's presentation. Planning Commission reviewed it and recommended approval. The applicant is also here and available to answer any questions.
Questions for John before we go to the applicant? None? Thank you. Is the applicant here and sounded like, would you come forward? You don't have to, but if you want to say anything.
Jim MacArthur. I don't have anything really to add to that unless anybody has any specific questions.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
I'd make a motion when you're ready, Mayor.
Let's see. I need to open the public hearing first. So I open the public hearing for any who have come to make comments or offer input on this item, number 3C on our agenda. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and now I'll come back to you, council, for your action.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the change from PDR, Planned Development Residential, and R18, Single Family Residential, 8,000 square foot minimum size lots, to a C2, Highway Commercial, on 0.40 acres located approximately 150 west and 700 south.
Second.
Motion by Ed with the second by Joe. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor, starting with Ed this time, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Talk about unsavory characters.
I know. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm hurrying. Okay, item 3D from the City Council report is a request to consider approval of a final subdivision plat amendment and the vacation of a public utility easement on lots 94 and 95 of the Springs Estate Phase 8 subdivision. So basically, here's lot 94, lot 95. They're owned by the same individual. This right now is the existing property line, this dash line. The request is to change the property line to this or right here to that location right there, and then adjust the easement lines to that location here. So we're amending the plat, vacating the easement, and establishing new public utility easements right here in this location. And the reason we're fixing it right here is they are right at the exact frontage which they need for that zone, and so they couldn't come to that line and extend it back like they wanted. They had to come to the setback line and then move it.
Any questions, council, on this one? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing at this time for any who may have come to offer input or ask questions on this item, 3D on our agenda. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Come back to you, council, for your action.
Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the final subdivision plat amendment by adjusting the lot line located between lots 94 and 5 in the Springs Estates Phase 8 subdivision and vacating a portion of the public utilities and drainage easement.
Second.
Motion by Michelle and second by Ed. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, starting with Joe, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Well stated motion there, Michelle. Just like a pro.
Just read Christina's words.
Okay, we're finished with public hearings, it looks like.
All right, let's go to staff reports. Planning Commission.
First item on the Planning Commission report from April 11th is to set public hearings for May 4th, and there's 3 items. First is item 1A, consider a general plan amendment to change from open space to commercial on approximately 7.2 acres, and it's located east of the I-15 freeway at approximately 3150 South. Representative is Mr. Kent Provosgaard. Item B, consider a zone change from open space to planned development commercial on 2.44 acres. The property is located along the west side of 120 East Street, and it's between 2690 South and Brigham Road. The owner is Bryce Christensen. Representative is Mr. Kent Provosgaard. And the third item, C, consider a zone change from mining and grazing to R110 single family on 8.06 acres located at approximately 1400 West Curly Hollow Drives for Tonnequin Cove. The owner is Sitla, and the representative is Development Solutions Group. Those are the 3 items for May 4th.
Any questions, council?
No.
Go
ahead,
make-
Joe.
Go ahead. I'll make a motion that we set the public hearings for items 1A through C from the Planning Commission report of April 11th. Advertise those for May 4th, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Joe with the second by Michelle. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next item on the Planning Commission report is item 2, is a conditional use permit. Consider request to construct a detached accessory structure with an attached patio that would be approximately 20 feet high, and that's measured to the roof midpoint. The purpose is for personal storage, ATVs, RV, boat, etc. This is at 2291 East, 3860 South, and it's lot 27 in Meadow Valley Farms, Phase 3. The zoning is RE 37.5. This shows the property where the blue arrow is pointing, lot 27 on the corner. I won't read this, but the applicant has put a narrative in your packet, and basically it explains that the accessory building will match the colors and materials of the primary home and what it will be used for. And they would like to have a wash basin sink for cleaning up in the garage. This shows again the vicinity, an aerial overall here, the actual lot here, and then again the zoning is RE 37.5. Very large lots. The general plan is R&R and equestrian. And this is the site plan. This shows the home to be built again on the corner lot. And here's the detached garage, enlarging it here. It's designed so it'll have a door in the front and the back, and you can drive through. And the front of the house is here where I'm pointing with a circular driveway. Also a driveway here to get back to the garage. And then the lot is large enough they're proposing a driveway here to exit. This shows the elevations of it. Again, height is measured to the midpoint, the blue line, which is approximately 20 feet. And as you can tell, on both the north and south side, it's got a doorway to go through it. The floor plan basically shows what they're planning to put into it, and it's just an open floor plan. Larger view of the elevations, and then on the side they want to put like this little trellis patio that runs along the outside of it. Staff has looked at it, and the Planning Commission recommends approval. I'm going to jump to page 3 of the staff report, and these are under some comments and conditions. The property is a corner lot, and the frontage is on 3860. The applicant will use it for personal use, RV, ATV, etc. Number 3, the garage will have a drive-through door on each side. The height is 20 feet. The detached structure will be constructed of material to match the existing home. Paved driveways are required. Concrete is shown on the plan. And then 7, we like to add this note: no home for home occupation permits, no HOP will be given for any business in a workshop. And it's a conditional use permit, so there's findings on the bottom of the third page and into the fourth. The only ones that are really highlighted for you from Planning Commission is D, the aesthetics, and the detached structure will match the materials of the primary residence. Continuing on to page 4, they felt the others were not applicable except for G, which is the height, and the structure will be approximately 20 feet. And finally, J, maintain character and purpose, felt that this was very typical for the area. The joke was that if you don't put it in, then you'll stand out and you won't conform with the neighborhood. So that concludes staff's comments.
Any questions for Ray on this? Okay. Ready for a motion?
Mayor, I'll go ahead, excuse me, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the conditional use permit to allow the garage over 15 feet. Do we have to say up to, or is just over is okay?
In this case, it's approximately
Approximately 20 feet?
Second.
Motion by Jimmy with a second by Michelle. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 3A from the Planning Commission report is request to approve a preliminary plat for a one-lot commercial subdivision called Fossil Hills Commercial. Site is located at 3100 South River Road. Property is 2.16 acres. Zone is PDC. General plan is commercial. Representative is Development Solutions. And this is it right here. You've seen this once when it came through as a PD approval. The only change that we're working on right now is we're trying to relocate this driveway over here on the Dixie Power property where they can share the driveway, because the two driveways as full accesses are too close. So we've been working with Dixie Power and the property owner to put a shared driveway right there, and that'll probably be the only change to this preliminary plat.
Any
Whatever the vote is subject to that agreement?
Yeah. I mean, if it all falls apart, then we'd probably have to figure out something with them right here. But right now, it looks like we've got it approved. As far as we've talked to both parties, we're just working it out. Both of them seem agreeable.
But that's a good point, Joe. It's probably.
We'll come back to you if it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. So I'd make it subject to that if you're.
Okay.
You've been working on that that's been.
Yeah, and we're
for
pretty
quite a while.
close.
It's not something that's just hanging out there. It's been addressed.
Correct.
Any other questions for Wes on this? Okay.
I make a motion, Mayor, that we approve the preliminary plat for the Zone 1 lot commercial subdivision called Fossil Hills Commercial, located on 2.16 acres, located at 3100 South River Road. The property is Zone PDC, Planned Development Commercial. The applicant is Development Solutions.
I would second that with the
Proviso on the part.
provide that. I think all we have to do is have the staff approve that.
The cross
Right.
access.
Cross-access.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion by Ed. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Ed? And we have a second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, item 3B is a request to approve a preliminary plat for a 54-unit residential subdivision called Desert Hills Townhomes. Site is located at 840 East Desert Hills Drive. Property is 4.43 acres. Density is 12.2 dwelling units an acre. Zone is PDR. Again, the representative is Development Solutions Group. Again, you've seen this as part of the PDC approval, or PDR approval. And basically, they'll have two phases. The amenity area will be constructed with phase 1. Here's Desert Hills Drive. Here's the high school right here.
Yep, like you say, this is the preliminary plat. We've seen this before with the zoning. Any questions, council?
No, I will make a motion to approve the preliminary plat. That's plat for 54, for a 54 lot residential called Desert Hills Townhomes.
Second.
I have a motion by Michelle with a second by Ed. Any discussion on the motion?
Just to clarify, I think it's 54 units, not
Yeah.
necessarily 54 lots.
54 units.
Very good. Any other discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, item 3C from the Planning Commission report is request to approve a preliminary plat for a 68-lot residential subdivision called Sequoia Estates, phases 4 through 6, size located at 3400 East Crimson Ridge Drive. Property is 19.14 acres. Density is 3.55 dwelling units an acre. Zone is R18. Applicant again is Development Solutions Group. Developer is requesting lot size averaging with this development, as 9 of the 68 lots will be less than 8,000 square feet, the smallest lot being 7,000 square feet. So if you look here on your vicinity map, here's 3000 East right here, and then Crimson Ridge Drive is right there, and so it's just south of Crimson Ridge Drive and east of 3000 East.
Any questions on this preliminary plat? Okay, ready for a motion. So quiet.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Motion to approve the preliminary plat for Crimson Ridge, or for Sequoia Estates Phase 4 through 6.
Motion by Jimmy, second by Michelle. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Is that it from you guys?
I was looking at the Springs, which was done earlier, and thought it was next on the list. Next item is a hillside permit request. And I have in my hand some 11 by 17 enlargements I'm going to pass to the council real quick. If I can get this to cooperate. There we go. So, I'm sure you'll recall, you've seen us request for a hillside permit before, and it's the third time it's come back to council. However, the applicant has redesigned the proposed subdivision to remove all lots, portions from the rock fall hazard area. This redesign now relocates the roadway to the east side of the proposed subdivision, removes all lots out of the rock fall hazard area, and eliminates the need for a rock catch berm and drainage system behind the lots as previously designed. The new design layout is included in this report, and that's what I just passed out to you, and I'll show it on the screen here in one moment. So here is the vicinity out in Desert Valley, an aerial view of where it's at. Might be hard for the public to see, but right here is the new airport. And here's the airport, and it's right in here just south of the southern corridor. The zoning and general plan is shown. So here's what I just handed to you, and I'm going to go to another little close-up of it. So everything in blue is the new redesign. The blue shows in the dark lines the new lot configuration. But if you look at it close, the lighter lines underneath shows where the lots used to be and backed up into the rockfall area. Now where I'm pointing right now is the new road, and you'll see that there's no residences to this side of it on the screen to the north side. So felt it was a good solution. We'll see how the council feels about it and any questions for the applicant, but that's removed the berming in the back. It's removed the issue of the drainage behind private lots. And all of the lots are here to the west side. The slope map we've seen before. They still need the hillside permit because there'll be some small disturbance in these areas, and then the road itself will be going into that area. The planning commission, the hillside, we met yesterday on another project, and I had sent them copies of this just to see if they had any issues or concern, and they all commented that they thought it was a good change, a good solution. And removed with the design again was the rock fall, and this here is showing what's obsolete. There were to be lots 53, 54, 5, 32, 33, 34, 35 here. That design is no longer valid. It's now what you have before you in the blue. So this road has shifted over and will be running along here. A couple photos from the site that you've seen before, so I'll rush through those. Staking out in the area. The road will probably be like right along in here. Right along in here. There was a major boulder up there. The applicant might want to talk about it. That they used a D9, and I think it was 1,400 feet of steel cable to pull it down. That was an interesting project, and I'll let the applicant elaborate on that. Other than that, that concludes staff's comments. It's still a hillside permit request, and it's a major redesign from what you've seen.
So Ray, that's basically puts the drainage on the roadway. You got rid of that berm, and so that kind of is a win-win for that. And he picked up 3 additional lots as a result of that. So everybody seems to have benefited.
I'll let the applicant respond. I don't know that they picked up more lots, but that may be the case. Wait to see what they say.
Yeah.
I hadn't counted them. You probably have.
You know, it was kind of neat to see the photos of that rock, that big, huge boulder being pulled down. They made quite a few efforts to be able to accommodate that and improve upon the safety in that area. So
that may be the one I'm pointing to here. It was either here or this one.
Yeah.
I'll let the applicant speak to that.
Any other questions or comments from the council for Ray? Okay, we'll give the applicant a chance to say anything he'd like to.
You can just use the track to move forward backwards.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kurt Gordon with Desert Canyons Development. It's good to be with you tonight. Yeah, we appreciate you letting us, take a pause here and redesign the project. I think that, or a portion of the project, I think it works out better for everybody. And we appreciate the comments that the city's given us and the opportunity to bring it back to you. Just a little, we did, our rockfall geologist did recommend that we kind of take this big boulder out, and we tried to blast it, and we tried all kinds of different things, but nothing would work until we hooked a D9 cat up to it, and it came off. So we feel better about that. The result of that is the rock fall really didn't, I think that in my personal experience from this good real-life example, we have lots of buffer in our buffer area. So, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we sure would appreciate your support.
Council, any questions for Kurt?
Nothing in those conditions or stuff you can't live with. Everything in here is okay?
Yep.
Okay.
The only other comment I have, and I think it's great that we were able to work through this, and I think it's an advantage to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than
yeah, I do too.
Throwing a fit when it's all done, and this is a good plan.
Yeah, and we had a pretty good rock move across the street from me. I'm on the back side of Stonecliff, and we have a great rock fall berm there. It's called My Neighbors across the street. They'll stop anything that comes, so I'm good. But it's good that we've thought about this ahead of time.
Sounds like you like your neighbor.
And we have. Depends on which one it is. But we've seen this happen. I mean, we do live around these mountains, and we do get rain once in a while, and that softens up the ground, and things can move. And so I'm glad that you've taken the time to try to get it right. So if there's no other comments or questions, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the hillside development permit. If I can get my voice to work tonight, I'm getting all emotional about this or something. And Yeah, that's what it is. Do I have to mention all these other conditions to allow for the removal of the, I just want to say non-contiguous, because that's a cool word.
Because it's such a good word.
Yeah. Non-contiguous and significant slopes, and all the other stuff, and the conditions mentioned by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy with a second by Ed. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
Thanks for working with us. I think that's it on Planning Commission. Is that right?
The next item is an appeal. And I might recall at last council meeting we had an appeal from the Shade Tree Board decision to remove a tree. At that time, we tabled the item to allow our park superintendent and forester to meet with that group. He met with them along with the assistant city attorney. And it's kind of a weird deal because the actual appeal was by an individual when it should have probably been by the HOA. And so after their meeting, and I'm just paraphrasing, and Shane can pick a Shane, can tell you what the meeting went about, but it was a very cordial meeting. We've asked the River Breeze HOA to come back with a landscape plan to show the trees that were existing before, the ones that have been taken out, and so we can look at the entire plan. And we've not yet received that plan from them. And so at this point, I guess we'd be tabling this item pending receipt of that plan that we can look at and then present to you and see how that fits with regard to the tree that's been asked to be removed. So does that paraphrase it well?
Okay, so we would need a motion.
Motion to table.
Mm-hmm.
Motion to table item 6C.
And do we want to
just say to a future meeting?
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll put
To a future meeting.
Motion by Jimmy, second by Michelle. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And you guys can go home now.
And I think that we're going to try to work with this HOA. They've been there a long time, that HOA, and the funding and all the stuff that, maybe we've got some trees, maybe we can work with them and try to help the plan be successful. But until we see that plan, we can't really tell you what that is yet. So.
Are we sure we don't want Shane to pontificate on trees or plants? Because it is interesting to hear him talk. I mean, it makes plants and trees interesting when he starts to talk. I got to say that. So he makes me fascinated by it. I almost want to know, be a little more like Gil, know what that tree is.
Well, he can tell you. So.
Yeah, I know. I want one of those. There's a pear tree that's got really green leaves on it. What's it called? That's it, I think. Yeah, I saw one the other day, and somebody actually told me what it was. It's a beautiful tree.
Gil just
right.
brought me a tree the other day. Yeah.
The
Okay.
next item is 6D.
Thanks, Shane's.
Yeah.
Hey, Shane, before you go, I just want you to know how much the board members out there appreciated your time and efforts and help them along to resolve this issue. It's very appreciative.
Thank you. Hope your riding of the trail went well, Shane McAfee. Yeah? Uh-huh. We'll talk to you later. Okay, Gary.
Okay, the next item is kind of a technical item. I'll try to explain it as briefly as I can, and Scott's here to give you all the details. I guess there was a settlement of what we thought was a settlement of some water rights issues with when the Shivwitz water settlement was made. But some of you might recall the history of the water up in Pine Valley area. There's a big kind of a tunnel up there that takes some of that water from Pine Valley and goes to Newcastle area. And there's always been a little bit of a kind of a disagreement on exactly how much water could be moved or would be moved, and all the ownership issues and that. And I guess now the federal government has been involved in this and have actually started an action to try to resolve that dispute as far as where the water goes and what. And so the two companies came together, which would be the Newcastle Reservoir Company and the Santa Clara Water Santa Clara Water companies came together and agreed. Now, those are the two companies that had the disagreement, agreed on who owns what and how much should be moved, and then so those two companies then will be discussing this with the federal agencies to try to get it resolved. So what this does would be to recognize that those two companies have come together and agreed on the amounts of shares and the rights that are involved with that and how much would go to each company. We're only involved because we own shares in the Santa Clara Canal Company.
That doesn't impact on how much the Indian reservation is supposed to
No.
get, the quantity. That's all separate, and that's old stuff.
Right, that's been settled. This is how much they can take from Pine Valley up to Newcastle, I believe, because it's a, what do you call it, a transbasin transfer, and that's the issue why the feds are involved, because it becomes between two basins, and so. But all the parties locally have agreed on those amounts, and that I don't think it has any effect on the Shivwits because that's been settled. It's just.
Well, yes and no. The federal government, the reason they're protesting on behalf of the Shivwit band.
Yeah.
So even though the Shivwit settlement has been agreed upon by all sides and signed, and Santa Clara project and the reuse plant, all that was in a settlement. Now they're coming back and disputing because part of the water that naturally should go into the Santa Clara drainage basin is being transferred over into the Newcastle drainage basin. So that's what their dispute is. But this agreement just gets the Santa Clara Gunlock users and the Newcastle
on the same page,
users to agree on what we think they're.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens because there is a settlement on the amount of water that they receive out of that. So I'm not sure if they're going to try to increase their amount because if there's more water that comes through to the Santa Clara or not, maybe they might try to assert more rights. But nothing we can do as a city at this point because we're just a user within the Santa Clara Canal Company. So we would just be supporting it.
Scott, that doesn't impact us. That's the good quality water in that Pine Valley. That's the good stuff.
That is the good stuff.
So does that mean the city of St. George is going to get less of that good stuff, or are they going to be able to mix that down on?
So this doesn't affect our Pine Valley Springs or our culinary water. This is the water that flows through Gunlock.
We're good.
Yeah, there's a big tunnel up there at Pine Valley. It was built, Grass Valley Tunnel, whatever they call it, and it takes the water from that water shed up there. So it's irrigation water, basically. It's not, it could be culinary, I guess. It's good water up there, but it's never been used for culinary.
Any other questions? Appreciate your clarification, Scott. So we're considering approval of this settlement agreement.
Well, we're actually approving the agreement between the Santa Clara water users and the Newcastle water users regarding the amounts of water and how that water is shared between those two companies.
Okay, so Joe just made a motion to that effect. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Joe, second by Ed. Any discussion on the motion?
Just to make sure I understand, we're agreeing to the agreement they made.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a owner.
As an owner.
Yeah, as long as everybody's in agreement, then I don't need to know all the details. But
in reality, what's happened is the Gunlock users and the Newcastle users for years and years and years have been kind of in contention on how much water they're getting. So in light of the Shivwit band protesting the settlement, really, we wanted the two companies to get together and agree before we have to,
deal with the next step.
So more news at 10 on this one.
Well, this is much easier than that used to be done. We used to just kill each other over
Right.
water. So
This is far less painful. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion?
Not on that, Mayor, but I just happened to look out in the audience and I see
Well-
Brother Smith's out there, and I just want to make sure we recognize his.
Well, hang on a sec, because we got a motion still.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good point. We'll do that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. No, you're fine. And I think since we do have an opportunity, we have two I believe, students out here that I wanted you to meet, since they're the faithful, the last two, other than our Captain Giles. Will you guys come forward and introduce yourselves? Ryan McFadden's right over here. He's been kind of shadowing me a bit today, and I believe he is a senior at Dixie State, technically. So tell us what you're up to, and tell us what you're majoring in. Captain Giles might be interested.
Okay. I'm Ryan McFadden. I'm on student government at Dixie State, and I'm majoring in criminal justice.
Okay.
As a part of student government, I take a leadership class. One of the assignments was for us to job shadow people in the community who have jobs that we're kind of interested in. Me, you know, I'm not fully sure what I want to do with my degree, but I figured, you know, I want to work in law enforcement and maybe go to law school, so I figured I should come job shadow not just people who enforce policies, but people who make them.
I hope you have a change of thought.
Isn't that great?
Were you able to keep up with the mayor?
Yeah, it's, honestly,
he's
it's
all
really
over the place,
interesting.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. I didn't force him to start with me at 7:30 at the pickleball thing where I had to sing the national anthem. But he joined me a little later and he was at the ambulance services meeting and we talked in my office for a while, and then he's been here the whole time. So anyway, and we've had some discussions before today as well. So he's a good student, I can tell. And so if you have any questions about law enforcement, grab Captain Giles in the back there. I'll bet he'd be happy to visit with you sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you. Call me or message me anytime. Okay. Now, Mr. Smith, did I hear?
Porter Smith, I believe. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your first name again?
Parker.
Parker?
Yeah. Just here for government class from Dixie High School. Senior.
Mrs. Stuckey?
Yeah.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah.
I'm coming to speak to you guys.
Well, that's good. Just enjoying high school, extracurricular stuff.
Are you a junior?
Senior.
Senior, okay.
Yeah. Just service projects, I guess, getting ready for mission.
Awesome.
Trying to get a bunch of different projects filled. So, yeah. Just glad to be here for a bit.
Perfect.
You know,
Well, Mrs. Stuckey will be pleased, so good job.
Thank you.
Parker, you might recognize you have something in common with the mayor. You know, he plays drums and or band and so forth, and the mayor, he sings and he plays the organ and all of these type of things. So
Well, that's cool.
Next time I could probably use a drummer for
Wow.
one of those
Yeah.
music
There are a
numbers.
few of us at Dixie, so
I have a
For the
connection
national-
there too. I play the radio.
yeah, that's a good one too. There's a lot of options there.
Thank you, Parker.
welcome.
I appreciate you being here.
might add, he just comes from very fine parents.
Pretty good people, huh?
Very, very well.
Really glad to have you here. You guys have been great to stay. Okay, let's see what's next. Appointments. I do have one from last week that we weren't able to do because I didn't get it in on time. Most of you had a chance to meet Summer Berry. I would like to propose that she be appointed to the Planning Commission to replace our longstanding commissioner, Roe Wilkinson, who's retiring at the end of this month, and she's done a great job. Summer came to our meeting last week, participated, stayed longer than she'd even committed to, which I think was great because we had some important topics last week. So anyway, I met with her for over an hour. I asked Joe, being our Planning Commission liaison, if he would meet with her. He did. So any comments you'd like to make, Joe? Otherwise, I'd accept a motion if you're so inclined to approve that appointment.
You know, I thought one of the things I thought was good is this is a fairly new person to this area. We probably need some of that in our planning commission, as opposed to us who've been here longer than you guys have been alive, and we can get a little different view on what we're talking about. So that was the thing I liked about it too.
Perfect.
Do you want to make a motion, Joe?
I would make a motion that we approve the name of Summer Berry to be a new commissioner on the Planning Commission, effective probably
May
May
1st.
1.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion by Joe with a second by Michelle. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Anything else, Gary? We
Yeah,
have
I
minutes.
forgot the addendum.
Oh, yeah.
6G.
Yeah.
That was a professional services agreement. This is for the design and construction management for that project we're doing on 2450 East, that roundabout that we're taking out and connecting 2450 East along the Virgin River down past the Smith's Food King into Mall Drive. Now, this isn't for all of that, but it's for that portion that we're involved with on adjacent to our property. I guess they're not doing the construction management on the pumps or on the lift station. This is 41. This is just for our share of the road. and
Where the
all that.
roundabout is?
Yeah, we're going to take the roundabout out and just connect that road straight up to 24 and then take it right down along the river.
Perfect.
It's going to be good. Any other questions about it? Ready for a motion to approve that agreement?
Motion to approve the professional service agreement with Rosenberg and Associates for the Dinosaur Crossing project, $41,800.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, second by Ed. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve the minutes for March 2nd and March 9th.
Motion by Jimmy, second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Do we have need for a closed session?
I don't.
Okay, any reports? We have no need for a closed session, but any reports? Jimmy, do you want to report on DTEC?
You'll have to remind me, since you were talking to me the whole time. Good meeting. We talked a lot about the upcoming projects, a little bit about the ongoing effort to have the transportation line from St. George to Zions. We approved transit. Yeah, we approved the go ahead to study, right, Mayor, that option again a little further as far as the feasibility. With the encouragement from our city manager, because he wants that to happen so badly.
He's really pushing for it. I talked to him about it after. He was really glad we proceed.
You know what? The mayor, I got to tell you this, though. The mayor was very firm with that group about the fact that, some of the concerns that we as a city had. I was actually quite impressed with the mayor's stance.
Okay?
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I almost thought he was starting to sound like Councilman Hughes, a little bit of a renegade for a minute there. But it was good. I mean, he was very clear on what our concerns were on a couple of issues. We did also talk about the renewal of the Red Hills HCP. Is that the right acronym? Yeah. And the plan was originally just to go ahead and approve the HCP and renew it and talk about some of the issues later, but the recommendation has come back. Let's hit the issues and get them taken care of, namely the big, I was going to say elephant, but the big turtle in the room, which is the Northern Corridor. And Commissioner Cox was there. He was very excited about the prospects of working with the BLM and making some progress on that. So hopefully that enthusiasm carries over of some ways that we can come up with a route that's going to be easier to mitigate and some things happening there. What else did we do of significance on that?
Along with the transit piece, we were also applying for funding through the state for a couple of other projects,
right.
And but mostly they didn't affect us directly. It was SR 9,
right,
and the connection to SR 9
yeah.
I-15, but and a couple of those roads. What was that? Sheep Bridge Road,
right.
and
they're talking about paving the road. You might not recognize the name, but there's a road that goes from Apple Valley and SR, what is that?
59?
Yeah. So basically Apple Valley over to Rockville or Grafton.
Yep.
Which is getting used more and more because of the traffic from Zion.
Recreation.
And the effort is to really push people to other hiking and outdoor recreation areas away from Zion's as they approach that, what they consider their capacity, which we're hitting. So, and some interesting discussion about, hey, maybe we could spend a little more on some of those things and a little less on advertising. Because
We talked about that.
Yeah, because of the issues that we're facing with the extreme. I mean, if they're coming and we don't need to advertise, then let's do that. So there was some discussion about that. So, what are we, 5 million expected? What's the number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This year,
and
probably 5 million will top visitors to Zion's.
the other thing tying to that, again, I might have made a couple commissioners a little queasy, but we suggested that the county ought to be looked to for the transit line from St. George to Springdale, since they get the bulk of the money. The county and the state. I do think I made the two a little queasy.
He made a very clear point that the tourist dollars from the transit, the what do they call it? Transit.
TRT.
Yeah, room tax. A majority of that goes to the county, and that they have money. The mayor was very clear on that. It was good. I was over there just smiling, going, "This is awesome." So
yeah, I was trying to be like Jimmy.
Yeah, no, it was good. The mayor really did state our point good. I was very happy for that. So on a couple of issues, what else did you had to stick?
I was
on?
kind of.
Yeah, he was on one.
I was kind of on one. They
It
had
might
to
have been-
shut me up eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other things were, but
Turtles.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about the fact that the road through the Turtle Preserve could be seen as a benefit, as a fire break, and some of the issues there. Oh, and the turtle breeding program, the mayor thought they should be doing that, and it was ridiculous that they weren't. And he was pretty straightforward on that, too.
Just hoping that the biologists would listen a little bit more, and we had a biologist in the room.
And the overall sentiment from Commissioner Cox was that everything looks so much more positive, and we're working together and all this, and the mayor reiterated that that has not been the case, so let's not get complacent. So he was the kind of downer in the room, which Betty and I both felt like we were like, yay, we'll just sit here and eat our salad.
It was a good salad, though.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jimmy. And it was nice to have all three of us there, because we have, 3 votes. And so when we're all there, and I wasn't last time, so I'm really glad to have all three of us and everything. Typically we get along just fine, but I think you can get into, kind of group think and just, yeah, this is fine. We had some good, healthy discussion on a number of items. So.
He gave a great speech as well on the fact that, hey, we can figure these things out. Rick, isn't it Rick? Torgerson said, hey, look, we can figure these things out. We work together. We can figure out ways to,
get funding,
protect these species, and still get these projects done.
He was great.
It was great. Yeah, he just said, hey, look, we figured this out on the mule deer and how we have conflicts with the roads, and we've been working on that. We can do it with the desert tortoise.
He was basically saying, and let's get going on the environmental right now.
Right now.
Because this is all part of it. We don't need to
it was good.
talk and talk and talk. Let's just get going. I have to tell you, I really like our UDOT guys. I think they're much more cooperative than maybe 10 years ago. I don't know what Gary thinks, but I feel like they've been listening a lot more. And we even asked him, well, the mayor asked Rick if he would consider opening the Virgin River Trail between Bloomington and the Dixie Center for Bike to Work Week. So, and they might do that. They're looking at it. So there's that project, of course, that's, widening I-15 between exits, 4 and 5. So they're doing a great job. I have no complaints about them. So, okay, any other reports?
I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
With the new addition of person to the planning commission, I've requested that the
Oh,
mayor work on putting together a training session for all the
We need
commissioners, not just the new ones.
Yeah. Why,
Uh,
Joe? Just
so that we are discussing those things that we have the authority to discuss and not other things. And that training probably needs to be a good refresher for existing people plus brand newies.
there's enough work to do without going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of them may not have had
Right.
some of the education, if you will. So, Sean, if you can work with whomever we ought to, and we talked about this at Joe's request, but if we could start, have them come a little early to a meeting, maybe the first one in May would be helpful. If there's anything that Summer needs in advance of that, great. Maybe Jenna could work with her, or whoever would be appropriate. Who's appropriate to work with her?
Well, she can work with Victoria.
Victoria?
Yes. That would be the best person. But yeah, we could put that together, and probably better to have us do it. We can draw on some resources from the League of Cities and Towns, but
No,
I
would.
understand.
That's what I would prefer.
Right.
And so would Joe. So yeah, let's do that. Because really, when you consider in the last year or so, we've added. Is this 4? I think we've.
Right. We have a number of new ones. That's
Yep.
right, and we certainly have a different philosophy down here, and
Yeah.
it's been a good one. And,
I agree.
and other places, so.
So thank you, Joe, for remembering that. Yep. Okay. You all got a notice of that next Friday. Just a question. How many of you would be thinking you would be attending that open house sometime between 3 and 5 on Friday next week?
I have a challenge. My granddaughter is retiring from SUU that day, so I've got to be there.
You can say your goodbyes to him another time. That's fine. We're just trying to get an idea. Will you be there?
My challenge is I'll have to see the schedule because that weekend is the Dixie Junior
Stock show.
Livestock Show.
Yeah.
And I have 4 kids trying to
Participating.
haul 1,200-pound steers around when they weigh about 50 pounds. So I have to be there.
That is Kent's last day, so if you just have a chance. So it looks like right now we've got 2.
I'll make sure I talk to him that day, some one way or the other.
Before Friday.
Who will be?
Kent
will be?
Yeah, I mean he'll be back for this, but he won't be around. Well, that'd be good.
Yeah, let's make sure we do this on a day he's here. Maybe we should be doing it on Thursday.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's because his family's all going to be here and stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
So I won't be here. So if the 2 of you will represent us, and
We're not meeting Friday.
we're not meeting Thursday.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I've got to be in Salt Lake for a couple days, so
Beautiful.
we're not meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
darn it. Sorry, Joe.
Glad to hear it. I've been happy with that too. Jimmy, anything else?
Nope.
I have just a couple things I need to ask you. One, tell you, just quickly, Gary and I have been notified that the wholesale water price will go up as planned, 10 cents, additional 10 cents per 1,000 gallons. We'll just pass that directly along, and I don't believe we'll have any other increase. Is that correct, Gary? So that'll, more on that later, but I wanted to let you know we'd received that. That's going to continue for the foreseeable future. I wanted to just mention Brian Passy, if you know him, he's a writer for the Spectrum. He's associated really closely with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they have need for someone from the city. They would really like to have someone on their board. It doesn't need to be a city council member. But Gary, if you think it's, he said a department head, a supervisor, if you think there's someone that might be a fit, that might, want some involvement there. I think at one point they might have had someone from the city, but they haven't for some time. So he just threw that out there. It's not a huge commitment. It's no more than 2 hours a month. They typically meet once a month. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good idea because of some of the programs. So I can give Shane. I'll bring that to Shane next week if you want, Gary, because I'm meeting with him on Tuesday. So I'll make a note of that. Thank you. Good suggestion. Right, and they've given us a few names. Maybe Gary and I will go over those names and just see which ones we think which one might be good, and then we'll bring that back to you, Council. Also, just wondering, Council, I've been asked as a mayor by the Conference of Mayors if we would weigh in on the proposed elimination of the Community Development Block Grant Program. That has been proposed apparently in the President of the United States budget. So I think putting aside political issues here, I think we ought to. I don't have to do this, but if we want to take a stand on it, one way or the other, we can ignore it or we can take a stand. I think if you look at what we get, it's roughly $490,000, $500,000 a year. Does that sound about right, Gary? Well, it would be eliminated. That would be gone. Now, right now, that is funding our purchase of the Switch Point Community Resource Center. We still have another payment or two, Gary?
We used what we could.
Yeah.
Because of the requirements, you can only use so much for public facilities. So we used the first two payments out of that. Like that road you were talking about tonight, the contract with Rosenberg. We're using $330,000 from the Community Development Block Grant Program to put our share of that roadway in.
Matching
because it benefits the housing project that's out there. You can talk about all the programs the federal government does, but if there's one that benefits us probably as a city more than any else without less strings attached, it's the community development. We've used it to do low income assistance, housing assistance down payment program. We've used it for some of those
family support center.
Family support center. So really, I think that if we were ever going to do one, if they're looking at this one versus something else, this one certainly would be beneficiary to us.
Any feelings contrary? I don't want to go against the wishes of the council in any way, but it does. We don't just benefit. It's really not us benefiting. It's really the not-for-profits. And I can't think of all of them, but there's always 5 or 10 of them, and probably more that apply.
Dove Center,
Dove Center.
The
housing.
That little bit of money goes a long ways. I mean,
Yeah.
we spread it around really good. There are tons of places where there's money being wasted at the federal
That's right.
government level. Wild horses is one of them. But anyways,
They're making some progress on that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's places they can cut without cutting something that that
Directly
is really
benefits them.
spread out so much, and goes to so many different groups. That's what drives me crazy when they start to cut, which I'm all in favor of. But they always, it seems like they forget about the big albatross in the room and go to these kind of things that really can have a little detrimental impact on us. So
Yeah.
I say we do weigh in and say
In favor of keeping it.
that. And really, this isn't going. This is we're helping other
Right.
organizations in the city. It's not
Exactly.
just filling the city coffers. So
Okay, very good. Also, two members of the council, Joe and Ed, came with me to a Action St. George town meeting the other day, and I guess I'll have to get you copies because I don't know if you both got them, but they were very nice. They were nice, but they have probably some different viewpoints than we might. And two of the issues they asked us to take up and consider were if we would consider doing resolutions. They're non-binding, but resolutions nevertheless on a couple of issues. I'll get you copies of them. I'm not so sure that we will want to do those, but in just transparency, I want to share those with you, let you look at them, and you can say something we'd like to talk about or no. Joe and Ed heard about them, so. Okay, and then last thing I have, sorry, it's too many things. The Day of Prayer Breakfast is on Thursday, May 4th. And I have tickets for you if you want to go. It's at 7:30 a.m. at Dixie State Gardner Center. Was it? I would guess, to be safe, a couple hours. So 7:30, 9:30. If you'll just let me know, I have a table. If not, I'll fill it another way. Just let me know. Can you go? Okay. All right. I'll have tickets for us. And I love to support the Interfaith Council on this. The speaker is actually, I believe, Fraser Bullock, who is the COO of the Salt Lake Olympics and Sorensen Capital co-founder. He's a sharp individual. So, and they always, and I like it. They make it non-political, and it's nice. So I'll have tickets for you and get those to you. That's all I have. Gary, you had something?
You skipped me, but
I'll be back.
okay.
I saw him raise his hand.
Last the best of all the game.
I was just going to say the Lions Club have come back with a proposal to finish the north side restrooms, and so we're going to enter into a contract, unless you don't want to do that, to honor the commitment that we made previously with regard to the expenditure of up to $300,000. We've already spent $100,000. This would be $200,000 to finish the north side restrooms, and with a shelled-in like a concession stand. And they will do the work. They will be the contractor, and that would then fulfill the money we had allocated out of the RAP tax funds for that. No, this is actually going to be permanent because the portable doesn't work. We went through that analysis, and that was on the south side. This is the north side, which would be permanent.
You've got, is it an actual bid?
It's a bid from them, who's
Okay.
AJ Construction.
Mhm.
And they'll do some donated, so it's in excess of the bid because they're going to do some of the work themselves.
Joe, any discussion on, any comments on that you want to?
No, and I think the good part is, it appears that more things are happening in Sunville.
Oh, lots more. Yeah, we're using it a lot, quite frankly.
That's what we want.
Yeah. No, they're just exactly where they're at right now. It'd just be taking the ones that are existing and upgrading and
It's
finishing.
concessions and restrooms.
Right.
I think it's a good thing. And this is what we'd committed to in terms of RAP tax. Is it?
RAP tax budget.
Any other comments on that? Okay, Michelle. Yeah, I don't want to.
I'll only take about 30 minutes.
Okay.
You already got the shade tree board stuff for Arbor Day. The only other thing I wanted to mention is the Doctors Volunteer Clinic Gala that some of you attended. Thank you.
It was awesome.
After expenses, they raised $45,000. Most they've ever raised. And obviously it's going to a great cause because we know the mental health issue we're having right now. So anyway,
How'd your meeting go this morning?
I didn't go.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, it's not a city board, but
No.
but Michelle is on a committee on Reach for Hope. That's a suicide prevention committee, and I appreciate her being involved in that. It's very important. And I'm on kind of another committee that's tied into that. It's a little broader or something, but through the health department. It does. Sean?
And I would just add, being on the hospital board, that, and also with my role as city attorney and seeing what the police department does, we're getting more and more calls that are involved with those types of issues. And the community, maybe we need to make them more aware of what the hospital does for the community in that area, that really the traditional role in other areas is picked up by government to do. But their resources are stretched thin, and at some point, someone's going to have to step forward and try to coordinate all of these and address the issue, because as we know, the rates are higher down here even than in other parts of the state, and Utah has a high suicide rate. But these mental health issues are being addressed by Intermountain as a private, nonprofit company, but that workload is increasing.
Well, and also one of the partnerships they have is with the Doctors Volunteer Clinic. So there are lots of partnerships needed, and so it's
We're grateful that we as a city recognized, a couple of years ago and Chief Stratton was so generous to give a portion every year of his budget to the clinic, specifically for the mental health clinic, because that $25,000 helps them fund another counselor, mental health counselor. So, because they are
busy.
Way too busy.
And that wasn't even, I said it that night, but it wasn't really envisioned when they built that clinic.
No.
That was a kind of came later. Jerry Thamert was one of the ones that was involved as a therapist and getting that going, and it was like this big, and now it's...
When they said the number of hours that Dr. Nielsen was contributing,
Yep.
that was a lot of hours.
He's an incredible guy, a psychiatrist who's, I won't get to his age, but he's well along in years and has served this community really, really well and has some great experience. So we are lucky to have him.
Yep, absolutely.
He did. I watched him.
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Need a motion to adjourn if you're so inclined. All in favor? Second? Third? Okay. Motion by Michelle, second by Joe. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Parker, Ryan, thank you for being here.